I was looking at the app I like to use to find free stuff when I found someone giving away this lawnmower. But I was kind of surprised that they were giving away such a new mower. Now, if you didn't know it, this is the current model they're selling right now for a ridiculous price, so why would they give it away? Now, I hope it's not broken, but by the way it looks, I don't think it was used all that much either. But then again, looks alone won't tell you the whole story. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at this practically brand new Murray lawnmower. And the problem is that, according to the ad for it, they were frustrated having to deal with its carb issues, whatever that means. So I'm not sure if that means it won't start right now, but that's how I'm going to take it. Now before we go on, I'm going to record all the stickers that we can find. That way if we need to order parts for it, we'll get the right ones. And that's because if you're ordering parts just by looking at pictures online, you might not like the results. Next up, we'll check on the condition of the engine oil, and it's surprising to say this, but it looks practically brand new. Now the oil level, however, is a bit concerning as the dipstick shows it to be several ounces over the full mark. Now by the stickers, I know this mower's only a couple of years old, but the oil tells us it wasn't used all that much in that time. It also turns out they gave it away with a full tank of gasoline, so I guess we better try and start it and see what happens. So it's been running for several minutes and the engine should be good and hot. Let's see how it starts back up. I don't know about you, but I was not expecting that to happen. There's practically nothing wrong with this free lawnmower. It started up just fine, ran great, and even started back up when it was hot. So what are we going to do now? Test drive it a couple of times, then put it up for sale? Now, as tempting as that sounds, we're not done with the mower just yet. So the plan is to give this mower a good cleaning, then do a decent inspection on it, and only then will we do our testing before we sell it. Now, because of how new this mower is, I don't expect to find much of anything wrong with it. However, because they mentioned having problems with the carb, more than likely someone's worked on it before. But besides a loose breather hose for the emission system, I can't see anything else wrong with it. So I am glad to see that the foam air filter is still wet with oil. The foam doesn't trap dirt particles all that well on its own, but the oil makes up for it. So for the moment, we're going to put it back in, and that's because I intend on cleaning the mower. And that's because the foam will help to keep some of the water from getting inside the carb. To be honest, this mower mainly has dirt on it, so there's no need for any cleaners. So a good rinsing is all that's needed. However, once we get to the wheels, things are a bit different. So if you try to just spray water on these wheels, you will get some of the dirt off of it. However, if you use a good strong cleaner, it'll work a whole lot better. Also, a regular garden sprayer works fine too. There's no need to get a fancy sprayer. So next up, I want to take the blade off, and that way we can clean the underside of the mowing deck. This is when we get a really good idea about how much time was on this mower. The blade itself is also in good condition and almost brand new in fact. And by how much paint isn't missing from the mowing deck, it's safe to say this mower has very little time on it. Now obviously this is only a guess and there's no way to tell for sure, but it's about the best gauge we have right now. You don't have to be able to eat off the mowing deck, but do the best you can. Now of course you can choose to leave the mower directly in the sun for a couple of hours and that'll allow all that water to evaporate. But there are plenty of other ways to get the water to dry up faster if you're in a bit of a time crunch. And with the mowing deck finally dried up, you can now get a better view of just how nice the paint looks. It's not perfect, but it's about what you'd expect to see after 1 or 2 seasons of limited use. The same goes for the blade and its cutting edge, which does have some tiny marks on it, but it's still in pretty good shape. Before we install the blade, this would be a great time to check its balance, otherwise if it's out of balance, it could cause the mower to shake while it's running. So what's interesting about this blade and its adapter design, it only allows the blade to be installed one way, so you can't install it backwards. I guess you could try to install it the wrong way, but I don't think it'd be very secure at all. I was also planning on lubricating the wheels, however, after getting them off the mower, the axles still look brand new. This is yet another clue as to just how little this mower was actually used. Next, I'm going to do something that's probably not needed, but out of curiosity, I want to check the valve clearances. Also, while the spark plug is out, this would be a good time to check its condition and gap. And just like the rest of the mower, it too shows very little signs of use. Now, I prefer to set my gap to 25 thousandths of an inch, however, you're welcome to set it to a different value. So why the curiosity about the valve clearances then? Well, I'm just wanting to see if they're going to be off with it being this new. So to check the clearances, I like to do it the easy way and check them one at a time. That means we have to rotate the engine until one rocker arm is loose while the other one is all the way down. We'll then take our 5 thousandths of an inch feeler gauge and see how it fits in the clearance of the loose arm. And to be honest, it's only a tiny bit loose here, meaning the clearance here is a tad bit larger than our gauge. We'll then just tighten the adjusting nut until the feeler gauge almost gets stuck in the clearance. Next, we'll rotate the engine again until this arm is all the way down and the other one is the loose one. We'll then repeat the process again of finding out if the feeler is loose or won't fit at all and then turning the nut so the feeler almost gets stuck. Now this one too turned out to be a tiny bit loose just like the last one, which is kind of interesting. It shows even with a couple of seasons under its belt, the valves were only slightly out of tolerance. I will admit these clearances were only a tiny bit off and we could have just left them alone, but since we were there, it was easy enough to just fix it. So I hoped you noticed it, but there weren't any jammed bolts or nuts, only the adjusting nut. And that's because the adjusting nuts are shaped in such a way to keep them from backing off the studs. Now before we start it back up, we'll have to drain out all the excess oil from the engine. And it's surprising just how much extra oil was in there. Basically, it looks like they poured in about 8 ounces more than was needed. This particular engine only needs about 15 ounces of engine oil, and they poured in way more than that and probably didn't even check it. Now don't worry, we are going to check it again after we run it for a little bit just to make sure. I'm also going to replace the foam air filter instead of waiting, mainly because these are easy to clean. And that is if we happen to get oil on it, which is something you can't do with the paper air filters. Now this is a generic foam air filter from the aftermarket, but I don't think the engine's going to notice the difference. OEM air filters will set you back several dollars, but aftermarket ones are about half this price or less if you buy a 2-pack or more. Of course, you can just clean and oil the old filters, but these will break down after some time. Once the air filter is back in place, we'll prime the engine and make sure that it still starts and runs after all that work we did to it. So it's been running for several minutes and the engine should be good and hot. Let's make sure it starts back up easily too. And luckily for us, it still started back up and ran great. I will let you know that even though I've done this job plenty of times, it doesn't mean I can't make a mistake. So testing it afterwards is always a good idea, and we still have even more testing to do with it. I'm going to use it on my own lawn a couple of times and make sure there are no problems with it, and only then will I be happy to sell it off. Of course, it is up to you on how much testing you want to do to it after your projects are done. But if you're confident that it's going to work like it should after only one test, then I'm okay with it too. So my question is, how much testing would you do to a mower that was only used for 2 seasons? Is one mowing session all you need to do, or would you do just a bit more than that? And just as a reminder, there is no right or wrong answer to this one. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.